want to say hello to all of our 3 viewers, and that's probably us three, actually.
No way, man. What are you talking about? Rihanna's on. She'll be a special guest on.
That's right. I'm sure it's Rihanna and Obama as well. But all right, so welcome back. Actually, we didn't think we'd be back this soon, did another live session, but some things happened over the weekend, and we just couldn't keep our mouths shut. We just felt like we had to talk about it, had to talk about these live. Yeah, so I'm actually, before we get started, I hand it over to Sahid. So he's going to share a few words for something very significant happened today.
Yes, on this day, in 1955, right? So Rosa Parks, we all know her. This day, 1955, she was sitting in a bus, and a white bus driver told her to step back and make room for more of the white patrons, and she said, "Nah." No, she didn't actually say nah, but she helped with. She's one of the pillars of the civil rights movement, right? She's one of the giants that we stand on. Part of the reason why we're all here today is that we could enjoy our freedoms, right? As the targeted, as two African Americans, an immigrant, a son of immigrants, right? Part of the reason why we have so many freedoms is because of people like Rosa Parks. So I just want to give just a quick salute to Rosa Parks. Thank you so much for what you've done for us. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And me being the the brown guy in the group, I think a lot of us, other minorities in the US have to also, we need to also show our appreciation as well, right? Because we would not have the freedoms that we do, without people like, Rosa Parks. And unfortunately for Sahid and I, we weren't really around to witness that firsthand. But, Nicholas was, I think, in 5th grade, at that time. So he may have a personal recount of that. He may have been reading about it in the papers that morning. So 5th grade, right? Was it
Right, yeah. No, we drove right past the bus. Yeah. Happened to not be walking that day. Was very lucky.
By the way,
Omar, colored fountain now.
By the way, Omar, thank you so much for going live. I didn't want to say anything because I'm staring at that teddy bear that's right behind you the whole time.
I know. I actually I didn't want it there, but
I didn't want you to cover it up. I wanted you able to go live just to see that.
Yeah, my wife's making me keep that there.
Well, don't blame it on Sidja.
Wow.
Don't blame it on Sidja.
Well, guess we know who wears the pants.
Yeah, let's not recall that earlier conversation today about your the 10 years. Your wife is savage.
Whatever. Yeah, she's tough, man. She's tough. Keeps me honest.
Yep.
Keeps me honest.
So I wanted to start off talking about fight night. So we have a little bit of a disagreement about what exactly we're going to focus on for this topic, because Nicholas wanted to talk about Tyson and RJJ. Tyson, for many of us is like it's a legend. I mean, still is. RJJ, again in his own right, was also a legend. But fight was unfortunately seems like it was overshadowed by the undercard directly preceding it. Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson. So Sahid and I actually wanted to get more into that. But because
we'll talk about it all.
We'll talk about it all. But we're going to go with Nate Robinson and Jake Paul first, because I think Sahid and I had some pretty spirited.
We had some back and forth, and
yeah, I mean it was good though. It was good.
It was good, and I definitely respect Omar as a martial artist for sure. Right, absolutely. I think I said something that came off as a little misunderstood.
Yeah, can you recount what
that
was?
Yeah, I'll definitely recount, because people didn't get what I was trying to get at, where I was I was trying to make, and over text it's hard to catch sarcasm, but I kind of made a comment because I was kind of a little disgusted by the Jake Paul Nate Robinson fight, which by the way I didn't see because I had to sleep because I was driving at 4 a.m. the next day.
How could you be disgusted? It's pure comedy.
Well,
got his
I
ass
mean,
kicked.
I was, I was, I was kind of annoyed by the fact that they got to call themselves professional fighters. Like I thought that there's a little bit more to get into that, right? So I made a comment like, "Well, I guess it's easy to become a professional fighters," and you guys just went ballistic,
No,
tried to
you said a
cancel me.
you said a professional boxer.
Oh,
Let's
but yeah, professional boxer.
yeah,
Yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
you guys went ballistic.
So yeah,
Trying to cancel. But I mean, I explained myself. Omar got what I'm saying, but Omar
yeah,
also countered with a great point, right? Which, in the sense that, which I think the point that Omar was trying to make was like, I don't really care what you call him, right? Like Jake Paul looked trained, right? He looked like he had some discipline. And part of like Jake Paul's like whole persona is that he's not disciplined. He's just kind of like a fratty. He's known for getting in trouble in his like Beverly Hills mansion, like throwing parties and like even now throwing parties when coronavirus is still a thing. And he even said coronavirus was a fake disease. Of course, he recanted later. So, but that's the kind of persona that he has, right?
yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me to kind of see this guy as a disciplined fighter. I think everybody saw that, and probably Nate Robinson saw that and challenged him. And yeah, some unfortunate things
That's
happened
what
to Nate
happens.
Robinson
Yeah.
afterwards.
So I'm
That was
I'm
a
gonna
professional jerk.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
No,
he's a
and
personal jerk.
so I think there's a distinction to be made there, right? I mean, you have a disciplined fighter does not have to be a disciplined person, right? Now, like I wasn't, I never fought amateur in boxing, um, but I did train at two different gyms on and off. So, I have an idea of, like the foundations, the basics, and, certain things. One of my coaches actually wanted me to go amateur. So I was pretty much there. But my point is that, like, you can tell no matter what it is you're training, right? And this is in the world of like any fighting art, whether it's boxing or karate, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga, whatever it is, right? When someone's formally trained, you can recognize it, right? There's similarities because you're going and you're like, say you're a CrossFitter, right? You go there and you see like certain drills and stuff, and you go to a park and you see people doing that, you're gonna recognize it, right? You're gonna pick it up. Like, hey, that's a little specific to what we do in CrossFit gym. But, I think what I saw in that fight, prior to fight night, I knew nothing about Jake Paul. I'm going to be honest. Well, rub me the wrong way. He just looked like a typical YouTuber, just the whole appearance, whatever. And I was totally judging him. I'm sorry. I'll admit that.
I was huge judging him.
Yeah,
Huge.
but
I was like, F this guy.
yeah,
I was
and
judging both of them.
Yeah.
Nate Robinson, by the way, has also become a YouTuber, right? He has a little YouTube show where he goes to different people's houses and interviews them or whatever. So I
I
mean,
did not know that.
Yeah.
That explains a lot, actually. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, so basically, right? Like he was like once he started fighting, like forget whatever he's done outside of the ring, right? Whatever he was doing in there. And I was looking at it on comments online, like other articles posted about the fight, and people are like, they're both trash and this and that. No, there's definitely a difference. And first of all, number one, the first point I want to make is that fight should never have happened. There's a huge, I don't know how it was authorized. There's a huge safety issue. Just because you're an athlete doesn't mean you deserve, to be in the ring or the octagon or whatever it was, right? Mayweather versus McGregor was a totally different story, right? A lot of people in MMA cross-train in boxing, right? And they're professional fighters, right? That's a difference. You can't have a professional athlete, especially with no other, formal training in the past in any fighting system, enter a ring in a professional bout, right? And they call it professional, even though it's on paper they said it's professional, but it's actually an exhibition fight. That's what it was. Same thing with Tyson and RJJ. That was an exhibition fight. So number one, the fight should never happen. Two, Jake Paul definitely, you could tell, had some training. And Nate Robinson just kept rushing him, right? Like he was like trying to street fight, He literally just kept rushing him and just kept clinching him the whole time because he knew that the other guy needs some stuff. But I was actually, I'm not gonna lie, because I had zero expectations, I was actually pretty impressed for someone who seemed like a blabbermouth YouTuber, social media star or whatever you want to call him, right? To do as well as he did. But I mean, that those are my main points, right? You can be a disciplined person, but that doesn't mean you're a disciplined fighter, right? In his case, he seemed like he has, some level of discipline as a boxer, some level, right? Not comparing him to like, the really good professionals, but definitely does not seem like, I've been reading more about his history after the fight. Definitely not a fan of his lifestyle, but to each their own.
Mhm.
That's my spiel.
Yeah, so I guess question to you guys, right? So on the focus on Nate Robinson, like we can agree, like the way that happened, like Nate Robinson, I, I still kind of like Nate Robinson a little bit because he just seems like a guy that doesn't give up, right? Like if you see, he was a 3-time dunk champion, right? One of those championships, like he won, like was kind of because he's the reason why they have a shot clock in the dunk contest. By the way, if you ever watch a dunk contest, he's the reason why they have a shot clock, right? Because
Why is
there's
that?
one time. Well, because there's one time when he had to make a dunk and he spent like just so much time and they couldn't go in commercial, right? So that's like he kept missing it. I think he tried like maybe 10 or 15 times and he eventually got it.
Wow.
And he still won it. Go figure. So or I think, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's the reason why. Me going into the fight, I mean, I kind of bought into the scenario of there's this YouTuber guy and a professional athlete, right? And I came in with the expectation that Nate Robinson is a professional athlete, right? This guy's a YouTuber, and this shouldn't be a contest. And Nate Robinson said, like, I'm doing this for all the basketball players in the NBA or whatever. For some reason,
said I'm doing it for the culture, which was just stupid.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks. Much appreciated. So yeah, which makes it worse. So I mean, questions to you guys, right? Because I still have some respect for him as an athlete, a guy who he tried his hand in the NBA. He's 5'9", tried his hand in the NBA, played overseas, played in the Big Three League, which is a Ice Cube thing, played in the NBA Developer League. Are all the memes and jokes about him warranted? Right? I don't know if you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look,
I'm going to say yes, because he's actually the one that called out Jake Paul. I didn't know that until I looked it out. I actually thought it was the other way around.
Exactly. That's why I was saying, you call somebody out, get your ass kicked.
Yep.
This is social media age, baby. So you get embarrassed, it's just going to live for the next, week, maybe, I guess. You know what I mean? But if I better not ever see him pick up another pair of boxing gloves.
But
don't
come
talk
on,
about you want to turn pro.
And he had to wear the Knicks colors too, the New York Knicks colors.
I mean, but it was obvious that whoever trained him clearly was like, don't even worry about blocking any punches. Just go in there and throw as many punches and try to connect, buddy. And good luck.
Somebody literally
taught him like half a
charged him.
Right?
Not even. Yeah, he literally just kept charging him and just clenching, and it's like, what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah. Well, just to quote, Shannon Sharp, Dog, some of the other guys, you don't play boxing, right? It's a lifestyle, so you can't just go in there and go in there and think you're gonna box somebody. So
and that's
he's 39.
That's a great point. Who's 39?
Nate Robinson. It's about a 9-10 year age
he's
gap.
36. He's about my age.
Oh, okay.
So, which is
I have to Google that and get that right. Fact check. Fact check.
I thought he was a little older.
Straight 3-year difference.
Yeah, I mean, no, but Omar, you're not wrong, right? Like Jake Paul's like 23, right? That's a 13-year difference.
Oh crap! I thought he was in his late 20s. Yeah, you're right. Nate Robinson's 36. So that's crazy. Number one, the only time you would see something like that happen is the older guy is either still a professional, a well-known professional, or he was like, just coming back, fighting some new up-and-coming, fighter. And this, the guy like used to be the shit. But
only person I even know of coming back and doing something like that is George Foreman, right? Came back when the
saw it earlier today.
The age of 45. So I mean, you just knew. I mean, you knew it was a joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But and it's funny how that became, the main talking point of the entire night. Like I'm watching the fight. When I was watching the undercards or whatever, I'm just thinking to myself, like, for all the people who paid $60 to see these fights, like, I feel sorry for you. And then the Nate Robinson thing came out, and it's like, you know what? Maybe it was kind of worth it.
$60. See Nate Robinson get laid out like that.
So Nicholas, where'd
It's
you watch
rare
it?
to watch somebody get hit like that. Huh?
Where'd you pay $60 for? Because I heard everyone else paid $50.
Whatever. However much it was, whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Where
didn't
did
even
you
know
watch
how old
it?
Nate Robinson is. So hush. Okay, you
Stop,
thought he was 30. Right.
Yeah.
All right.
I think this might be a great segue because so George Foreman talked about the fight with those two legends, RJJ, Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen his latest comments, right? But like a couple months ago when this fight was happening, he said, yeah, these guys should not be fighting, right? These guys are way too old.
Yeah.
Right. He said because he fought at an older age and he still had that itch, right? And his wife had to talk him out of it, right? Now, again, I didn't watch the fight you guys have, and like I'll clearly defer to you guys. So this is a fight with nope, if someone bled, then fight's over. If somebody gets knocked down, fight's over, right? So there are so many rules in place. There are like no knockouts. I did read somewhere online that it was actually a good fight and that this is what we need, right?
It was not a good fight.
No,
So,
not
next.
Yeah, again,
It's not a good fight.
Go
We can
for
go
it.
into. That's why I want to talk about the main event now, not the circus. Let's get to the
Wait,
main event.
before you say anything, I want to recount one of the commentators made in the opening seconds of the first round. And it was, this looks like my two drunk uncles fighting at the barbecue.
Snoop was killing it, man. A lot of people were like, that was the highlight of the whole night. Like having Snoop in the booth was everything, man. I love it.
No. So on your point,
but yeah, so once the fight started, so first of all, let me back up a second because I want to give everybody's just talking about Tyson. People need to have some appreciation for Roy Jones Jr. Man's a legend. Man's one of my favorite. Actually, he's one of my top boxers. One of my favorite boxers.
Yeah.
I watched him in the '90s, just like demolish everybody. And they were trying to make like, you know, he didn't really fight anybody, but it's because like he was so far above everybody else in his division. Mind you, he started in the I think he started as a middleweight and went all the way to heavyweight, won belts in every class. Like I think he's like the only person to do that. So I think I like this dude. So when people were talking about, you know, Jones versus Tyson and everything and who might win, I knew Jones was the more technical boxer, right? And Tyson is, you know, he's a knockout artist or whatever, and you know, obviously a legend in his own right for good reason. But watching the fight, I knew it wasn't going to be good because they're old, for one. But then second, as you're watching it, the same thing happened every single round. Jones will come out, try to hit him with a couple shots, maybe a quick little flurry because he has the hand speed. And then as soon as Tyson threw like one or two punches, clinch.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously you play to win, right? So if you're not clinching Tyson, you're getting hit. And if you're getting hit, you're getting knocked out. So I knew it was going to be, you know, it wasn't going to be a good fight.
So I was like, it was actually really frustrating to watch because I think that referee should be fired unless he was allowing those clinches on purpose, you know, just to keep it a little bit more tame. But it was frustrating to watch because it's literally, so I want to give it to Tyson at his age, that bob and weave, how well he was still able to move. I mean, and dropping 100 pounds is exactly his style, right? And dropping 100 pounds in his 50s for a fight is insane. But just like you, I was a big RJJ fan. I think the one challenge, you know, the one guy that would have given him a run for his money if they had fought at that time was Bernard Hopkins. Unfortunately, that fight happened too late. And then they had also had talks of trying to rein
Hopkins and who?
Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones Jr.
They fought twice.
I thought oh no, sorry, you're right. It was the rematch. Because it was I'm forgetting now. It was the first one was what I think I'm forgetting. RJJ won. I think Bernard Hopkins won, and then they never did like the tiebreak. I think that's what it was, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Jones
Okay,
won
so.
the first one. Hopkins won the second one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think, and I forgot when they did the third one. I forgot who won. Did they give it to B-Hop? I'm forgetting. It's been like what, like a good 7-8 years, I think, since
I
that
don't know.
happened.
Yeah, I forget, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm clearly forgetting. But either way, I think the fight, like Tyson was still fighting at the time around like 2000. And I think the fight could have happened between him and RJJ. That would have been cool to watch. But man, I that clinching was excessive. That's what ruined it for me. It was just way too much.
Yeah, like after a while, I was just like, all right, it's
Yeah. But I thought Tyson won. I thought he won hands down.
Yeah, let me ask you guys another question too. So this is a little bit of news that happened. So apparently Tyson like smoked some weed prior to that fight with Rogan. Is to do that.
First of all, as far as I'm concerned, weed should be legalized. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Secondly, what I thought was funny was that the sponsor, first of all, hosted by AC Slater. Secondly, it was sponsored by it's either a marijuana dispensary or
it's called
something
weed
else. Something else. Yeah. So that just had me cracking up too, because like one of the taglines was like, fighting the good fight and helping you, find the good stuff or something like that. It was something along those lines or whatever. And I was just like, okay, like there's a circus out here, like. And then the random performances. I was like, come on, man. Like YG, all of this stuff sounded the same. I was like, all right, why are they giving YG like 5 songs? You could just stop at like the one he did with Drake and be done with it. Maybe like the one other joint that he had. He had like a couple joints that I liked, but I was like, dude, just stop. The only performance that needed to be extended was Snoop Dogg.
Yep.
And that was it.
I think
French Montana only had one song.
I like how they brought in Snoop Dogg after these like random nobodies. I think that just made it worse.
Well, they weren't nobodies, right? Like I like French Montana and some of his stuff, but it was just like, then you had the guy, I think he was a singer or something. I think his name was St. John. Horrible.
Was that the guy right before Snoop?
Yeah, I think he was like the R&B singer. He had like the nose ring, pink pants, or pink jacket or something like that. And he was kind of just hopping around the stage a little bit.
Yeah, that was like, if Saheed was ever going to be a rapper, that'd be him.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can't even respond to that shit either because I didn't even watch it. So I was like,
maybe you should ask. You know what? Maybe you should ask the viewers who Saheed would be if he was a rapper. Who would Omar be?
I don't think. Yeah, I'd be Punjabi MC.
Don't ever. That's hilarious.
Saheed would probably be Drake.
You know what the funny thing is? When I was younger, I got a lot of people told me I was Lupe Fiasco. I hate you.
I might let you
as far as
that.
As far as what appearance?
Drake, by the way, Omar.
Yeah, obviously not lyrical ability. Definitely appearance.
Yeah, I have no lyrical ability.
Lyrical ability, I'll probably put you with Lil Jon.
What? That's you, buddy. That's your stupid ass.
All right, so this is now we're really turning this into fight night.
That's funny.
That was rough.
Oh man.
All right. So, any final thoughts on fight night? And I still feel like Jake Paul, whatever his name is, and Nate Robinson was the highlight of the night. Unfortunately, I don't want to see something like that ever again. I was reading an article. A lot of professional boxers, were speaking out against it. It was risky. It was irresponsible, and I really hope that never happens again. Because, again, that's like me when that one and only time I made an attempt to play basketball with you guys, and I lasted all of like 9 minutes in my cargo shorts and my non-athletic sneakers.
You made a good effort, though. It was a good effort.
I got an F for effort, right?
Yeah, I won't even. You know what, man? I'm gonna let you skate on that. I won't even comment on that.
Well, you see,
that's socializing.
That's why I brought it up first.
You're out there for 9 minutes.
You look like you were a company photographer or something. All I'm doing is your camera.
So many comments we can make on this, Omar. Oh my God.
Well, going back to my point, right, is just because you're good in one thing, doesn't mean you're going to be good in something else, right? Being an athlete, just because you're in good shape doesn't mean, again, it's all a science. Basketball is a science. Boxing is a science, right? Jiu-jitsu is a science. Badminton's a science, right? Whatever it is, chess is a science, so everyone has their own expertise, and it was stupid. But anyhow,
there's technique, there's nuance in every art, right?
Exactly.
Definitely did, and definitely Nate Robinson did really underestimated,
Well, I think the whole world did. I don't think the majority of the public still knows that he did train, growing up.
We want to keep that. Well, we have that perception of him as being a screw up, which he is. But he can also knock out somebody too.
Yeah. Yes. Dangerous mix.
Yeah.
And what's sad is the best fight of the night got zero publicity. I forgot what the two guys' names were. I don't know if y'all were watching. It's just sad.
I didn't tune in.
It was a white guy versus a black guy. I know that's bad to say, but this dude was putting on a clinic, and the white guy was like a former military veteran or whatever. And
I did see that. The ref had to ask him, "You're right. Why do you keep doing this?" Yeah, I saw half of that fight.
And he said it was like something from his time
PTSD.
out in the field or whatever. And but that black guy was just putting on like a boxing clinic. Like I was surprised they let that fight continue, man.
No, I definitely agree with the fight having gone on. I mean, the other guy had one amazing chin. I'll give him that. He had amazing chin, amazing heart. He was literally just like it was kind of like watching Rocky versus Apollo Creed. Actually, they called him Apollo Creed, one of the commentators. What I didn't like about the other guy that kept twitching his head, forget his name, was he just kept trash talking in between rounds. I'm not a fan of that. The second you do that, you lose me as a fan. So, but yeah, man, that the other guy, forgetting his name, he was great hand speed, great footwork, very disciplined, composed. He ignored. He didn't fall into the trap. Yeah, I expect great things from him. I'm definitely gonna be following him.
All right.
I guess so. Just so we can give the guy some names. Is it Blake McKernan and
Yes.
Jack? Okay.
Badu Jack, right?
Yeah. Badu Jack was the black guy. What was the other guy? What McKiernan?
Jake McKiernan.
Jake McKiernan.
Oh, Blake.
Yeah. Blake.
Blake McKiernan.
Blake.
Jake Blake. I keep wanting to say Jacob Blake all night. I know it's bad, but I keep like Jake Paul and still on my mind.
Just take your time.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyhow.
Definitely haven't forgotten that, man.
Yeah.
That's it for fight night talk. Now I didn't anticipate us coming back less than a week later talking about Mandalorian again. But after episode 5's huge bombshell that they threw, how could we not talk about that now? I was just reading
about time. Yes.
About time.
Can we talk about Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll leave that part up to you.
My crush.
Well, we're married, so we'll leave that part up to you.
Okay.
And we'll just nod our heads.
Still my celebrity crush.
All right, well, I'm gonna leave it up to you two, and I'm just gonna nod my head.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, so Sahid, why don't you kick this one off?
We'll kick it off. So, yeah, again, I'm going to defer this to you guys too, because you guys, in my eyes, are like the Star Wars masters here, right? I'm just like
Not even close. Not even
compared to
close.
you guys, I'm just a Padawan. You guys are Nicholas all up in the legends about this and this and this. Like, read the books, watch Star Wars Rebels, which I haven't watched.
You know
But
how
I
many
did
like
watch-
Star Wars nerds are going to be attacking us now from the internet now
God.
that you've said that?
Yeah. I did watch like a review of it, and there's so many things that like little tits and bits and whatever. And which reminds me, Omar, you'll like this. So do you remember the lady that I forgot her name? That Ahsoka Tano fought at the end.
Of what? Of the
of
episode?
The episode, right? The one with the.
The
I know where you're going with this.
Huh?
The magistrate.
Yeah.
So you probably already know this, right?
Bruce Lee's
Bruce Lee's
protege is Dan Inosanto. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Bruce
his
Lee's
daughter.
goddaughter, which makes sense on why she's so domineering, right? Like,
So really, no, just one quick observation I made actually in that show is in the scene where she's talking to the Mandalorian, and she's basically like trying to recruit him, right? And she's like, I'll give you this. And then she shows him the spear, and then I forget if it's right then or after he hands it back to her, but there's a movement she did with the spear. And as she was like, I wish I had something on me right now, but as she was holding it, she did a movement, and the way she kind of had it like folded in her arm and kind of brought it around, that is muscle memory.
mm-hmm.
That was muscle memory. So instantly there, I knew she had formal training because it wasn't necessary for the scene, but I was like, that's very similar to a lot of, kind of reverting back to my training. And then when the fight scene came up between her and Ahsoka, movements she was doing, like holding it like this, right? And the thing about the hands up here, why you have the fingers open, right? Things like that, you block the sunlight from your eyes, right? And that's why you have it right in front of your face when you're holding the staff like this. And so there's a lot of small things in there. I knew she was formally trained, but then it wasn't until I just came across an article later that I found out she was Dan Inosanto, who's one of the big martial arts legends in the world right now, because he's still alive. He was Bruce Lee's best friend ever since he set foot into the U.S. He was there for the majority of his martial arts journey, and the fact that that's his daughter, Inosanto's daughter, is just crazy. But yeah.
No.
It's dope, man.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about that spear, right? So that spear was made out of Beskar, which is a Mandalorian metal ore, right? And so what I'm starting to realize is that as the episodes go on in the show, Mando his armor gets more and more complete. And when I looked it up, like what that armor is, it's actually lightsaber resistant as well as blast resistant.
Oh yeah, we saw that.
So,
right? We saw.
So what I'm starting to think is that how Moff Gideon has the dark saber, right? So I think they're building up to the point where he goes through enough stuff, enough adventures with Baby Yoda to where his armor is like fully kitted out. He's able to take on Moff Gideon or maybe some other lightsaber wielder. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so he did take on Ahsoka, right? So him and Ahsoka had a little. And that was, I actually thought that was a really good fight. I actually really enjoyed it. So look, I'm not into the in as much in depth as the Star Wars like world as you guys are, but I mean, from my understanding, right, the Mandalorians are almost designed to fight Jedi, right? Jedi.
They were enemies.
I mean, they were enemies, and they're designed to fight Jedi. Which this kind of give me the reason the reason why Ahsoka struggled with the magistrate. Ahsoka being a fairly strong Force user, and the magistrate not being a Force user as much. I mean, I don't want to get too much into it because it was such a good episode. I don't want to like.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it yet, man, too bad. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
I'm sorry, Nicholas. I'm sorry. You're right. We just spoiled it. We're supposed to say it at the beginning. If you haven't watched The Mandalorian,
I mean, I did say in the beginning, I was like, episode 5, big bomb. So
no, but if you haven't watched it, Number one, I need you to make.
Too bad.
You need to make better decisions in your life. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? 20. You need to make better decisions. 2020 hasn't given us much. Like
Exactly. The
and
pandemic has
given
forced us to sit home and watch Netflix or Disney or whatever it is.
They've given us The Mandalorian.
Yes.
And it's
Everybody doesn't have Disney Plus. That's
I
fact
mean,
of life too.
you need to make better choices to get Disney
Yes,
Plus.
I agree with Steve.
Make better
Need to make better life decisions.
Mandalorian. Make better choices.
So let's say you had Netflix, HBO Max, Hulu, or Disney Plus. Which one would you drop? Not Disney Plus, but out of the other ones, which one would you drop to get Disney Plus?
Only one. Oh, HBO Max.
Probably HBO Max too as well.
Yeah.
That'll probably be for me. Even though I actually enjoy HBO Max, there's a lot of content I haven't seen there.
Yeah.
I was debating between that and Hulu really quick, because Hulu does have the originals, and HBO Max.
I would drop Hulu like ASAP.
Actually, I changed that because I don't have Hulu, so I probably dropped
Hulu. I think Hulu's about to lose out, but anyway.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the other revelation about Baby Yoda's name, Grogu, and his little short origin story that they gave for him, how he managed to escape killing of all the
Order
members.
66.
Yeah.
So for anyone else unaware, Order 66 was that when the what do you call them, not the Stormtroopers,
Jedi Purge,
the clones, the Jedi Purge, they all betrayed the Jedi, and Anakin went and killed all, started hunting down the Jedi, and was basically, there's one scene, it was actually really dark, where he walks in a room full of like Jedi kids, like, young kids, 5, 6, 7 years old, and they just look at him. And one of them was even like, Master Anakin, or Master Anakin or something like that, like thinking that he came there to save them. But, the scene, kind of fades out in black, and I think you hear like the lightsaber. So how did Grogu survive that? Now, to answer your question, Nicholas, I didn't really think anything of the name. I think I can tell Saeed has some opinions on that. I thought it was really interesting that anytime that, what's his name, the Mandalorian, Din Jar or something like that, Din Djarin or something. I can't remember his name. But every time you say Grogu, little Yoda is just like, huh? So I thought that was, he's actually older than him. He's 50 years old. So,
well, age younger.
Yeah.
I don't have super hard opinions on that. Like, I enjoy the name. I did read online that people were disappointed that there was a name that they really just want to keep him calling him Baby Yoda. But respect the kid, like his name. His name's Grogu. Let's call him Grogu. I don't see anything wrong with it. So, again, I'm not so deep in the Star Wars lore where I'm the type of person that's angry that Han didn't shoot first in the remakes, right? Like, I'm sure people like that are like overly pissed or whatever. I don't know. There was just so much good. We got to see the name. We got to see Ahsoka Tano fight. We get to see the two. There's this one piece of it because I was watching like the review, like a guy do a review, and I don't know if you guys caught this, where Ahsoka Tano sliced off a piece of bark from a tree and then threw it at somebody, and then forced through it at somebody, and the tree fell down. I was like, that is just dope.
Yeah, that was really creative. They really did that opening scene really well.
Oh, and I also want to say too, because I did watch Clone Wars, even though I didn't really watch a whole lot of.
Wait, the whole thing?
Most of it, a lot of it. But what I watched enough.
I'm gonna hit mute and kick out.
No, come on. No, but I picked up enough of it though to pick up on her like mannerisms. Did you guys catch some of her mannerisms?
I did.
Yeah, so
very good attention.
Those mannerisms, like she kind of has like, I saw this in Clone Wars, where she'll kind of walk up and like fold her arms like this and kind of tilt a little bit. Yeah. Right. Like that's actually pretty dope, right?
Yeah.
That they are that detailed, right? I did.
And the cloak she was wearing was actually the same one at the end of the last episode of Rebels.
Yeah. Well, they said, I thought it was the last episode of the Clone Wars, like the very last one, where like
I think it was Clone Wars. Yeah, I think one of you guys shared an article today. I was looking at that. That was interesting connection.
So yeah, that's actually that's just pretty dope how they kind of got those mannerisms down. They did say her talons were a little bit shorter, right? And I wonder if that's
nitpicky, man.
That is nitpicky. I also wonder if that's because of like the movement too, as well, right?
That's what I was thinking. Probably.
Like from
probably
some creative just some creative leverage and just try to just say let's have shorter talent so she can kind of move around and whatnot. I mean,
yeah.
I again like this is one of those things where there's so much good about the episode where are there things that I can nitpick around like with her, like why is a magistrate that's not a force user almost seemingly on par with her, like sure, or I can with the thing, but there's so much good in it that like I'm willing to be like that's fine.
Well, she was like, and I don't want to spoil Rebels for you, but for anyone watching this that's not seen Rebels, you can watch it. It's animated. It's like 4 seasons. It's on Disney Plus. Absolutely, if you're not really into like animated stuff, you got to get over it because this was probably the best Star Wars story I've heard. It basically talks about how the rebellion was formed, and it connects a lot of different characters in the Star Wars universe, and actually connects a lot of different Star Wars movies together really, really, really well. And I was really caught off guard by that when I was watching it. I didn't expect it to be like that. But the way that it ends, Star Wars Rebels, I'd been predicting that the second season of Mandalorian was headed in that direction. And then, it did. And so, them talking about like Thrawn, interesting article you shared today, Nicholas, that episode may not have occurred after the last episode of, the series finale of Rebels, that that timeline's not necessarily linear, according to executive producer, writer, director is Dave Filoni. Right. So I thought that was an interesting comment. And I was thinking of, examples going back and forth to try and figure it out. But you can't really, there's no clear indicator of that. So that's interesting.
Well, it's too wide open to really know like where they're going to go with it. Right. Because at the end of Rebels, Ezra Bridger and Grand Admiral Thrawn are like lost out somewhere. We don't know where they are.
Yeah.
And, she makes a promise to go find them. And then in this episode, it's hinted, right? But she's looking for Grand Admiral Thrawn, but she don't know if she's just going to see him for the first time or if she's, if it's at the end of Rebels or not.
So I want to see Ezra. I would love to see that. I think we're definitely headed on the path to see Ezra if this episode is in fact after Star Wars Rebels, after the series finale. I think definitely because she mentioned Thrawn, right? And so if you watch the series, you know how closely Ezra and Thrawn are connected. So Ezra is, the main character in Star Wars Rebels, for anyone that doesn't know. But Ahsoka had mentioned, take Grogu to Tython. And if you ever played the online MMORPG Star Wars: The Old Republic, the main city for the faction for the Jedi faction, right? That's Tython. So it's literally that same temple, that same planet. So that'll be cool to see. But who's going to answer the call, right? So who's alive right now, right?
So that's what's exciting to me. That's what's exciting to me right now, because it opens up a lot of possibilities for who could answer the call. That could be Ezra Bridger that answers the call.
If
that
he's
could be
right.
That could be that answers the call. And I know y'all are gonna hate this or whatever, but it's just another theory guy that was putting stuff out there. What if Mace Windu answers the call?
Sure.
Mace Windu was my guy, man. Mace Windu was my guy.
He
was putting it out there. He was like, hey, like, you never know.
Hey, but what about this? What if Moff Gideon answers the call? Right? So keep in mind, they do have a tracker on Mando's.
Oh yeah.
On Mando's ship.
Yeah.
Right?
But he's not about force. He's not force sensitive.
That's not my point though. My
like
point
he tracks him.
Like, what if he shows up? regardless.
Yeah.
That doesn't
He could
answer the
he could
call,
show
but
up,
right?
right? He could show up, but the point is that the call goes out through the force. But
Yeah.
let's say he does show up. So this is interesting. Let's say he does show up. This could be that, you know, the Mandalorian doesn't have all of his armor yet, right? I feel like that's a key part of him being able to face whoever the final villain is.
Yeah.
So he loses, the child is taken
Okay.
by Moff Gideon. Now you have Ahsoka Tano has to go probably rescue the child now. Does she rescue him just with the Mandalorian, or does she rescue him with whatever other Jedi is out there and alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I definitely don't think it's going to be Luke Skywalker #1. Right? How would they even bring him in? Right? I mean, like an actor to do it.
The guy that played the Winter Soldier. A lot of people are talking about him being young
crap.
Skywalker.
Yeah.
And
Who didn't he play?
Mark Hamill even commented on that too.
Well, wait, didn't he play Harrison Ford? I'm not Harrison Ford.
He was not Han Solo.
Han Solo in Han Solo's solo movie.
Nah.
No,
That
that's
wasn't
not
him.
That's
Okay.
not, I don't think that was him.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know who you're talking about. But yeah, that's interesting. Either way, I don't think they're going to bring someone that big into a show of like a lot of side roles, right? Ahsoka is the first person introduced into the series. That's a major role. And even then, that's not a major role if all you've watched is just, the regular trilogies, right? She's a huge character from the animated ones, but I don't think that they would bring in anyone bigger than her, in my opinion. I would say
a couple of seasons. I could see Luke coming in like 2 or 3 seasons from now.
I
would love that though. That would be cool.
I definitely think he can do it for sure. I mean, he's already doing one show with, the Winter Soldier and Falcon, right? He knows he's worked with John Ferdinand, right? So yeah, I mean it's possible. Another question I want to ask you guys though. So Ahsoka Tano said that she can set Grogu out there and let him choose, right? So what if he chooses not to want to be trained? Like Ahsoka Tano, he seemed like he had a good relationship with Ahsoka Tano, right? Like there were a little bit of tidbits of them like nodding with each other, they're smiling and whatnot. I mean, there was a good relationship, but he didn't want to be trained by her, right? Maybe he doesn't want to be a Force user. Maybe he doesn't want to.
So glad you brought that up. And again, kind of going back to Clone Wars, the reason why she refused to train him, right? If in the Clone Wars, it's basically, and major spoilers, you basically, how many seasons was it again? 5, 6 or something?
7.
Wow.
One season though was like disconnected from like the other seasons as well, which is
last one.
Okay. So 7 seasons, but either way, most of the 7 for the most part from those 7 seasons, you're just watching Ahsoka and Anakin and Obi-Wan just have this really, really good connection, primarily between Anakin and Ahsoka. And so, going towards the final season, you just spent 7 seasons worth of episodes watching them grow closer together, in a teacher-student relationship. And then all of a sudden he just flips on her like it's nothing. And it was a really, really dark episode season. It was a total 180. It was tough to watch. It was very, I'm not going to lie, it was fairly emotional. But no, I did not. No tears, but almost.
You dropping tears over there, man?
No, it was just
no, Anakin, don't go to the dark side.
I remember my wife was chopping onions that day, right?
Oh, good God.
Yeah. But
oh man, he did the Denzel tear in Glory, right?
Yes, the same one he does in every movie.
I don't talk about man. Denzel, man. Whoa.
You're the one that just brought him up.
Calm that down. The Glory tear is classic, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, still one of my favorites. But anyhow, but my point is though, she watched her teacher, who was like supposed to be, the savior of the Jedi, right? He was like supposed to be the chosen one. He was skilled. I mean, he was the youngest one and allowed in the Jedi Council. she witnessed it all. She witnessed greatness, and she was Anakin's only, only student ever. So seeing that happen, it really affected her a lot. And that's why she left the Jedi Order, even though she still kind of refers to herself as a Jedi, but she's not a Jedi. That's why she has white lightsabers. But she, seeing that anger in Grogu, it brought up a lot of bad memories for her. She was actually afraid, in my opinion. So that's why she's like, nope, I'm not going through this again. Find someone else.
Well, I will say this too, as someone who watched Rebels, I mean, not watch Rebels, but watch the Clone Wars, right? So my understanding, she didn't actually see him in the end of like Clone Wars. She felt it through the Force, right? Of him going through all this pain, and they were showing like feedback of what happened in like Revenge of the Sith, the third episode 3, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of playback from that as well, which I thought was pretty amazing. My question to you guys is, I feel like, and as I read a little bit more into this and kind of get into the lore of Star Wars, right there, Jedi is known to be really, really powerful, and that's why there's such a strict discipline, right? Of like having no connections with everyone else, because you become like Anakin, get connected, and then get easily twisted. But at the same time, it bothers me a little bit because it seems like they almost fall into this trap like almost every time.
Yeah.
Right. Where like that's what the story is about. Like you saw this in like the original series where they try to turn Luke. You said this will happen with Mandalore, where like they don't teach someone how to like handle their emotions or whatever, and they're just so afraid of them to like of them to love or do anything, but they just turn on everyone, right?
So here's the thing, right?
So,
like I know where you're going with that.
Well, Nicholas, go ahead, Nicholas.
Sorry. So I feel like I'm probably gonna say the same thing as Omar, really though. So I feel like that's been like the great debate like within the Jedi Order, right? So you had people like Qui-Gon who was just like, yo, I just follow the Force, like whatever the Force tells me to do, I'll do it. And you have other people like my boy
Qui-Gon had some
was
other
like
too.
letter of the law, and Yoda, like letter of the law, hey, like we don't do this leads to this, this leads to that, this leads to this. And then you have somebody like Ahsoka who, has seen that pain, renounces the Jedi Order. And we were talking about Grey Jedi last episode. So her feelings about training Grogu leads me to believe that she hasn't really had that epiphany yet, to where she can say like, hey, it's good to have feelings, yet, it's good to take some elements of the dark side and the light. There must be balance. Like even though she's renounced it and her blades are colorless, she wears gray. She doesn't really follow that philosophy just yet, with her, at least with her unwillingness to train Grogu.
So
yeah, she's kind of like aimlessly like wandering around, right? And that's what's really happening, is she's not really connected with anyone else. Like, canon wise, and they screwed this up in the latest trilogy, right? With Luke Skywalker, but he like basically rebuilt the Jedi Order from ground up. He changed a lot of the rules. Like, okay, yes, it's okay to like fall in love, right? But there's like limitations and stuff, and he did away with. I thought from what little I know about that canon story is he basically sought out correcting the flaws that that the Jedi had for however long. But then they didn't really touch on that at all in like the new trilogy. And it seemed like he just went back to repeating his old mistakes, which was really stupid.
Yeah, it's the same thing so the same storyline, right? Because they did this in the very first episode, episode 1, where you saw Anakin. He's too young. We can't train him. I sense much fear in you. This isn't this.
Yeah.
And rinse and repeat. Did it again, right? With Ahsoka, it's like, I sense much fear in you. I don't want to train you. Right? Did it again in the new series. He's like, oh, I trained you. Now I'm like isolating myself and I don't want to train anyone. So it's like this is this rinse and repeat kind of thing. Like again, don't want to like belittle this episode because again, it was a great episode, right? There's so much good about it. But it kind of seems like they keep falling into the same typical, well, I don't want to train you because you might turn evil and whatever. And what about letting people just make their own mistakes? I mean, is that too simple?
I think Ahsoka is the outlier in that case, in my opinion, because what she experienced was for her it was the Jedi were really just Anakin and and Obi-Wan too, sure, but she was mainly just around them the whole time. She wasn't as well connected to the rest of like the Jedi Council, right? Like they were. And so for her, he was like almost like her, like either like an older brother or like a godfather, right? Anakin. So the betrayal that she felt, I think, is very warranted for her to feel like that. And considering, she's still fairly young, at this point, she's probably like in her at least late 20s, early 30s at the least. But it still has a lot to learn. And she's, like I said, she's not really connected she's not connected to anyone else, right? There's not a lot of Jedi out there, number one, right now. There's Luke. But, I don't even know if that's actually started yet in the timeline.
I mean, so
in the like his new Jedi Order.
Oh no, it hasn't started yet. He's out there looking for artifacts and stuff right now.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then. Yeah,
I wonder why they haven't felt each other in the Force at all. But this is crazy because Luke is younger than Ahsoka, right?
Yeah, because Luke and Ezra are around the same age, by the way.
Right.
I did the math at the end of after I finished Rebels.
Nerd.
Right. I never even thought about how old anybody was. Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there are only 3 episodes left of Mandalorian, guys. 3. It ends.
We have to wait a long time for the next one.
Yeah, it's like it seems like it starts same time every year in November, October.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then who knows what's gonna happen with these lockdowns. So
yeah,
what do you guys think is gonna happen? I would love to see more of Rosario Dawson, just in general in life and everything. But
episode
they're
9.
Gonna give her her own show, man.
Yeah, they are. No, they already
She's
announced
gonna
it.
give her own show. Yeah.
I thought they made it official. Unless those are rumors, but
they've
already started putting out posters.
I don't know. I think it's rumors. I mean, I would think she would have. I don't think she's announced it on her Instagram page that she's getting her own show.
There's too much demand for it and too much positive feedback for it not to happen. Yep. And this is how Disney did a crappy job with the movies. I mean, we already talked about that. So this is how they can grow out, the next set of stories. Because, like I said, and I'll continue saying it until it happens. I'm waiting to see how they show that 30-year gap between Return of the Jedi and the third trilogy.
The Force Awakens.
Yep. Gotta show it. Gotta get my boy Luke on camera.
Well, which is kind of interesting because they say the Force Awakens, but the Force was never asleep. If you think about the Jedi that's been out there for some time.
Oh Lord! But so what we're seeing right now, though, paves the way for a lot of that.
Freaking difficult. It's difficult.
So
difficult.
The Mandalorian, right?
This is why I couldn't get too much because I find all these little super like nitpicky things. Like again, like Mace Windu, your boy, right? They make this whole thing about like the purple like lightsaber, but the real reason why there's a purple lightsaber is because Samuel L. Jackson just wanted a purple one so you can see.
Yeah, that's so silly. But going back to your point, Nicholas, right? You're talking about like the 30-year gap. So that the Mandalorian is basically starting that, right? And Ahsoka's story carrying over from Clone Wars into Rebels, and I think that can do really well with connecting a lot of the other dots into, what else is going to happen. I do think that I'm one of the people that think she did die. Because in the latest trilogy, I forget if it was the second or third movie. Was the third one?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Whatever, and they confirmed that was Ahsoka Tano.
Yep. Yeah. So I do think that she had died, but I think there's a lot of room for her story to really blossom and really connect.
Well, I mean, by then she's already older, right?
Yeah.
And time the third trilogy, I mean, you're talking what 30, 40 years later or whatever, however much longer it is. So I mean, yeah, she either old age or somebody finally got her. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah. No. Listen, Rosario.
Sorry, man. Rosario Dawson's time is limited, man. I'm sorry.
Don't say that.
No, she did a great job. I told you, I already posted timeline in ING. I was like, Target Podcast. We'll be talking about this on the Target Podcast. Come join us.
Oh my god.
No response. No response.
I didn't see
But you know what?
Okay.
All right.
But
So
you know what? I'm gonna keep shooting just like Kobe. Just like doing it.
Shoot your shot, man. You
Kobe.
Rest in peace, Kobe. Man, yeah, I'm excited for the next 3 episodes. It's gonna be great. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen with Grogu, and yeah, I definitely think Omar, you may have made this point earlier too. I think the climax will be a cliffhanger at the end of the season.
for sure. Yeah.
Cliffhanger for sure, right?
Yeah.
I think Grogu's gonna get kidnapped for sure.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great assessment.
It's gonna go down on Tython. That's in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's probably gonna be some teaming up with the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, probably Bo-Katan versus like Moff Gideon's group for control of like Mandalore. Who knows? Or bringing in Gina Carano's character with Carl Weathers' character as well. So yeah, who knows?
I think Ahsoka Tano is going to get there too late, and Moff Gideon makes off with the child.
Yeah. And
then all 3 of them, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano, and the Mandalorian, have to go back.
I wonder what's going to happen with. So do you remember the Forager in season 1? The one that's
yeah.
So I wonder if she's going to show up again because she obviously.
I thought she died.
No, she did not.
Yeah, I thought she did.
She did not die. You should watch the last episode of Mandalorian again.
I have to.
I'm pretty sure she's alive because they showed like stormtroopers like running in her and she beats them all up. So unless maybe she dies off camera, I don't know.
Yeah, because real life.
That was dark, actually. It was super dark.